Okay, Nick, I was talking about you last night to our favorite friend, Kathy Burrows. You said you're a dynamo and that, you have done extraordinary things and you like challenges. So I thought this is a good challenge when you supported it. Brittany looks all excited. She's like,
Absolutely, yeah, we love challenges.
well, because she's got group sales. Group sales are always one of the more
No,
exciting.
I love a challenge.
Yeah. Okay. Well, guys, this is the El Paso Chihuahuas. I know we've done one-offs before, but then Nick had the bright idea, why don't we have three? And I said, this is fantastic because our students always ask amazing questions and everything else. Nick, do you want to introduce yourself and then Primo and then Brittany?
Absolutely. So, hey, everyone, my name is Nick Seckerson. I am the Senior Director of Ticket Sales and Service here with the El Paso Chihuahuas, which is the AAA affiliate for the San Diego Padres, so in minor league baseball. And then I also am fortunate enough to work with El Paso Locomotive FC, which is a USL United Soccer League Championship Division soccer team here in town as well. So both teams play out of the same facility, Southwest University Park. And I have been with Mountain Star Sports Group, which owns and operates both franchises since 2013, the year before the El Paso Chihuahuas had their first season. So I came to El Paso right out of college. And then, yes, to my left, we have Primo. You want to go?
Yeah, my name's Primo Martinez. I'm the director of seat sales here with the El Paso Chihuahuas. So I work with Nick, myself, and then four other guys right now on our seats. And I actually started with Nick back in 2013. We were part of the first 8 or 10 employees that they had. So been here since day one.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brittany Morgan, Director of Group Sales. It is myself, so I'm right under Nick as well. Myself and 3 other team members on my team. And we sell accumulation of suites, hospitalities, group tickets, you name it, anything that you can be a group. And then I've been with the team for about 9.5 years. So I came after the first season. So yeah, been here ever since. And this was actually my first full-time job, and I've kind of just grown within the company. So
It was actually all 3 of our first full-time jobs.
actually,
As account executives.
Fantastic. Now, we've actually talked about the Chihuahuas before because of your dog bowl with the nachos in it and how creative it was. When you came to El Paso, when that franchise game, it was kind of seen as an earmark of El Paso actually growing up to where we could actually have a lot of fun and a lot of engagement stuff. How did you guys get into the community and really kind of build up that presence?
Yeah, so when Primo and I started, there was no stadium. I think I moved to El Paso about 2 months after they knocked down City Hall on the site where the stadium now stands. So that was an interesting response from the community, right? A lot of people were really excited, but like anything, we had people that weren't excited about progress. So our goal was just, let's start winning people over. So every opportunity there was. So when it started, and it was the 6 of us as account executives, every day, every weekend, we were looking for community events. Can we just be out there and talk to people? Can we be out there and tell them what we're about? Can we be out there and tell them the level of minor league baseball and AAA baseball and what that means? Can we tell them what we think the stadium and the ballpark can do for downtown and revitalizing it? So it was really just grassroots. We want to get out there. We want to meet people. We want to talk to businesses. We want to talk to nonprofits every chance we can get. Primo, anything you got?
No, I think that was pretty much it. Like you mentioned, I guess I can kind of add on like now, like what we've gotten to, like, for example, we have a volunteer pack that we do where, we want to show everybody, not only, we know we're not from El Paso, but like Nick mentioned, we're El Paso, we want to be a part of this community and show them it's more than baseball. So our volunteer pack, we've done everything from painting houses to during COVID, helping with, equipment for first responders to helping at the, food center, to helping at the Kelly Hunger Center, doing all these hours. Next week, we're painting a house. What we're doing, so doing a lot of things like that as well. Getting involved in boards. Nick's on a board for the United Way. I'm a member of one of the organizations that's on there for the Young Free Society. So just doing a lot to get out there and show you want to be a part of the community and that you're invested in it as well.
Malachi, what's your question?
So for someone that wants to get into the industry, pretty much day one, would you say that the minor leagues would be a great idea for someone trying to do that?
I would say yes. So I played soccer at Iowa State, so our season ended in the fall. So come this spring, we had the Iowa Cubs, and I'm not a baseball person at all whatsoever, but it was fun, and I started out as a stadium operations person, and now I'm in sales. So it's a great way to get your foot in the door. No matter what direction you think you're gonna go. I never thought I'd probably be in sales, but here I am, 10 years in the industry now. So it's fun, it lets you be creative. So I definitely think it's a great first step, especially to get into this industry.
And I would say, take some time and reflect and be really honest with yourself about what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Minor league sports is really different than major league sports, and we talk about it a lot, where some, I won't say all major league teams, depending on what your job title is or your job function, that could be 95+% of what your job is. Minor league sports, you kind of do everything, right? We're a small staff. We have on the Chihuahua side, max 40 full-time staff people, and that might even be pushing it. So yes, all three of us are in sales, but we interact every day with marketing, stadium operations, concessions, corporate partnerships, ticket operations, analytics. And I think we all do all of those things. So for us, I know for myself, I wanted to do everything. I didn't want every day to look the same. So I don't know that I would ever personally look at major league sports as a career path for myself. But some people may want that. You may want to just become an expert in one job function, and that's what you're passionate about, and that's what you want to do. Then yeah, that might be major league sports, may be a really good option for you. But there are people that view minor league sports as their dream job. And that's great too. And I think I consider myself one of those people.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both the things that Nick and Brittany said. It is cool because you can think about it where, like, if you think about any other like career, like let's just say, for example, like maybe you just do insurance. You're literally just looking at doing insurance the whole time, looking at doing all these quotes and finding those clients. The cool thing about our gig is, like Nick mentioned, yeah, we do the administrative stuff where we find our prospects, we have our meetings, we make those sales, we service accounts. But it's other cool things too, where it's not a cool thing. I should this cool thing, but if it rains and we have to pull tarp, we're all pulling tarp. And none of us have ever, I mean, we've done it now, years since we've been here, but it's not something that we're like, oh, we see ourselves doing in the future. Or if it's something where sometimes, like Brittany mentioned, she did her internship with the Cubs. I did one with the Barnstormers, which was the AFL team that Nick did one with Aberdeen. And I think one thing we all three have in common is we've all been a mascot too, which is something that we obviously didn't plan on. So just being able to kind of be a jack of all trades and be there and see what it takes to be, that organization and help out, because we have one organization goal and everybody pitching in and doing where their help's needed. It's definitely the cool thing about minor league sports.
Well, fantastic, and we actually have papers on mascots in the community and building new mascots, so that's a really good segue. Austin, what is your question?
So I was wondering, what are the biggest differences you've noticed between working in minor league baseball and the USL from an operations and management perspective?
So I'll take that one. One of the cool things is that motivations of fans I have found to be a little bit different, right? People that come to minor league baseball games, it's very likely that the majority of our fans are leaving the game and may not even know what the final score was or who we're playing, right? Because that may not be their motivation. Their motivation is, I want to, come out with my family and escape everything we've got going on in our lives. I want to bring the company out for a team building event. There's all these things that are going on, and the game is the backdrop. In USL, we have really found that the game is in a lot of cases the focal point. People live and die with what the score is at the end of the match. In most cases, and one of my missions has been to sort of balance that. We do a really good job on the baseball side, so minor league, of not relying on team performance, right? So we're sort of trying to train certain markets of fans of USL that, yes, team performance is really important, but there's so much else that you can get out of coming to a soccer match here at Southwest University Park. So that's been a really big difference. The flow of games is different. During baseball games, the concourse is full, right? Sometimes our seating bowl looks like it's a little bit empty, but that's because people are up, they're in the merch shop, they're in line at concessions, they're in the premium club area. Whereas during soccer games, once the game kicks off, the concourse is empty. Everyone's glued to their seat. They're watching the game because if you turn away for 5 seconds, you can miss the one goal that's going to happen all match. So operationally, the flow is different. So yeah, I would say those are probably the two biggest things, and we're learning from each other. That's the benefit of sort of creating our own competition here in town, is that we can take things that work well on the soccer side and find ways to mold them for baseball and vice versa. So it's been a really unique and interesting dynamic for us.
Aiden, what's your question?
So I know that the baseball industry is a very busy job to work in. So how, especially during the season, do you manage your work life with your personal life?
Yes, they did.
It works, so you make it work. I will say this organization's really good, especially when the team's away. We do have staff, on Fridays and Mondays, so we get a 3-day weekend, so we're getting that probably every other weekend. Honestly, we just make it work. Our significant others either are coming to games, but it's part of it. It just comes with the job, and you just kind of just make it work. I don't know how else to explain it.
Yeah, no, like Brittany said, it is cool. I think the one huge thing that I've heard from a lot of people, like people that came through and worked with us too, is that this organization is definitely something special. It's something where like Brittany and Nick can attest this to. Like, yes, we have our time where we're hanging out as work or like colleagues, but then we also have time where we're hanging out with our families. But then it's been to the part where we've worked together so long and got to know each other so long that, you know, we consider each other family. So there's been times where maybe somebody can't go home for the holidays, or somebody, you know, needs help doing something, and it's like, or we're just gonna hang out and watch the Masters like we did this last weekend, where it's hang out with personal life, but it just kind of what's the word I'm looking for, like it like crosses over, where it's the same thing, where it's like, yeah, we're hanging out, we're doing personal stuff, but maybe Nick and Brittany are hanging out with us, or we're taking a trip to Dallas to watch a football game, and it's like, yeah, it's personal time and it's personal life. It just happens to include some of the people we work with. So it's definitely doable, and like Brittany mentioned, the organization does a great job of it.
Yeah, and I think organizationally, we have this sort of mantra of like, we have to find people who embrace the grind, who enjoy the grind, who enjoy wanting to be here. And then we find opportunities to really make sure that this doesn't overwhelm anyone, right? Like we're very free of like, if you have a doctor's appointment or your kid has a recital, like go. You don't need to be here right now. We can handle it, right? Like we almost as leaders have to create the work-life balance, because people are so invested in what they're doing here, so that it doesn't always feel like work, but we're very cognizant of making sure that we as leaders in the organization try when we can to go above and beyond, to make sure that we are taking care of our people, that they're getting rest, that they're taking care of their mental health, that they're taking care of their families. That's very important to us organizationally. So it blends really well together. And then, like Primo said, we do things that sort of blur the lines a little bit. We have something we do almost quarterly now called Grow Fest, which started out as a joke, where it's just essentially a team building thing we do on the field or in one of the spaces we have, where we take a half day and we're just playing games, having a meal together, having some drinks together, and it's just a chance to sort of relax as a group. So we work so much together that the interpersonal relationships are really important, both on the personal side and for the work we do professionally.
I would say too, one thing to know, like about our office, is I would say about half of the people are not from El Paso.
More.
So yeah, probably more than half of our office is not from El Paso. So we kind of all lean on each other, and obviously we've been here together. So we've kind of just grown, like they've said, you know, into one big family.
And last thing I'll say on this topic, as you all are going out and interviewing for jobs or interviewing for internships, you have every right, and I encourage you to ask questions about that.
Yeah.
You want to know the organization you're going into before you step foot through the door. And if an organization is not willing to share that, or they're giving you, your gut's telling you like, I don't know that this is a priority for this organization, maybe it's not the right fit. You have every right, as someone that's going to dedicate your time, your family's going to dedicate their time to this job and this career. You have every right to know what you're going into before you step through the door.
Well, fantastic. Maddie, what's your question?
What are some of the challenges you face having two different teams play out of the same facility?
I'll take this one. I would say, obviously, as a group sales rep, and sharing it with the soccer team, obviously they have their own sales team. So we're basically competing and selling the same spaces while being under the same organization. So, you know, I will, and Nick knows this, but like first year soccer came around, you know, we lost clients because soccer was the new hit thing. And our clients knew exactly what they wanted. All they had to do was be like, yep, we're moving to soccer. And it was like a bam sale. So we struggled with that a little bit, but again, like Nick said, you know, for us, it's about the experience. We're not selling the team on wins and losses and stuff like that. But, you know, that does come into play, especially competing against a soccer team in the same stadium, selling the same thing, so.
Some of the things we've done, because we embrace the fact that we've created our own competition and we've understood from day one that these sort of situations that Brittany mentioned are going to happen. But we've tried to find ways to either overcome or embrace that. So one of the things we did, our soccer front office staff is largely housed at a building a few blocks away. But one of the things we did is we brought the sales staff over right after COVID. And so the ticket sales staff for the locomotive sits right next to Brittany and Primo and their teams in our office, so that almost by osmosis, we can learn from each other. Or if Brittany hears a conversation going on with a business that she's worked with in the past, we encourage her to provide help and feedback as much as she can. But we also then look for opportunities to work together, right? What's better than one company bouncing from one team one year to another team the next year? Well, why can't we bundle it? Maybe both teams every year, right? So we create opportunities for ourselves to work together now. So it's not perfect. It's not a perfect science. We understand the challenges that come with it. But that's part of the fun, is embracing the challenge and finding ways to work together. Anything you have, Primo? I got one more thing.
No, I think you.
Operationally, you know, it also creates real challenges. We try our best. If it's a baseball game, it feels like a Chihuahuas game. If it's a soccer game, it feels like a locomotive game. So that's like changing outfield wall signs. Or operationally, if we finish a game on Sunday at 10 o'clock at night, our grounds crew is there that night until 3, 4 a.m. because turf is being brought in to convert to a soccer field because we likely have a game the following Wednesday. So there are a lot of coordination pieces that have to go on in every department to make sure that our fans don't feel that the experience is sacrificed because we have two teams playing in the same stadium. So it's another fun challenge for us.
Well, fantastic. Kayla May. Kayla, what's your question?
This one's kind of specifically for Brittany, but what different strategies do you have to use in group sales compared to individual sales?
So I think for group sales, so we're always trying to, obviously, we want to upsell our individual buyers. So our box office is actually really good about, you know, trying to, if someone's on the phone for 16 tickets, they'll more than likely transfer to us and we're on that opportunity to upsell them. So with that upsell, what we're providing them is special rate price tickets. We include a complimentary popcorn box. And then they get a group welcome on the video board. So for us, we're trying to find value in different things that we can add to their experience instead of just purchasing, you know, individual tickets and they're just sitting wherever they want. So we're providing that next level of experience for them by being able to provide those different things. That's just in a small portion on the group tickets, just like a block of tickets in the bowl. So that's just kind of one example. Is there anything you'd want to add to that? But yeah, for us with group sales, it's all just about adding value and experience to what they can provide or what we can do on that night for them to take it to the next level. So.
Fantastic, Brittany. Jocelyn, what's your question?
Yeah, if all of you guys could answer this individually, but what would be your piece of advice? What would be a piece of advice you wish someone gave you earlier on in your career when you entered the sports industry?
I think mine would be, and I think it's because it was kind of just the way I was, and I kind of felt like the best about it, was just be a sponge. When I came into the spot, I was the greenest out of everybody that we had when we started. I did like retail and worked in bars, restaurants and stuff before, but and was pretty good, you know, speaking to people and communicating, but just kind of learning everything and being able to just soak in everything that I hear. Like Nick mentioned now, like with the osmosis that we have with the locomotive staff and our staff, being able to just pick up on conversations people are having, things people are saying, the way somebody does something, you know, professionally, maybe it's personally too, just being a sponge, taking all those things that you can learn and then finding them and maybe trying it the way they did it. If not, making it your own. and being able to run with it if you find what's works for you and what's successful. But I guess that's what I would say.
I think for me, it's as long as you prepare and as long as you give your best effort, it's okay to fail. That's how you learn things. I would not be where I am right now in my career if I didn't say yes for things that made me uncomfortable. I didn't work to expand my comfort zone. And if I didn't fail a lot and still fail to this day. But I love the fact, and I get motivated by the fact that I can take on challenges that I don't know that I'm going to succeed at, but I know I'm going to give my best effort. I know I'm going to be the most prepared, and I know I'm going to not shy away from what's in front of me. And if I knew that at 21, when I started here, there'd be a lot of issues I wouldn't have had to deal with myself and personally, and a lot of stress if I knew that it was okay. So we really try to get that message out to our team because we're very fortunate that we work with a lot of people in sales who are right out of college. It's their first job out of college or they're in internships. And we just tell them all the time, your opinion is valued. We want to hear your ideas. You bring a different perspective. Let's go try things. And it's okay if they don't work out.
Yeah, I mean, I would say those are two very great points and I would probably agree with them. I think one thing I would just add on to that, and I would just keep it simple, is just ask questions, ask a lot of questions. I think I put some with this, I think I got to where I am because I do ask a lot of questions. I don't like, and I like to give, or I like to have direction. So for me, I would just say ask a lot of questions and that will get you to the next level and you can show, you know, with that information, what you can do. So I would just piggyback off of what they said with that.
And the last one I'll give on behalf of our general manager, Brad Taylor, who we were really excited this past year at the baseball winter meetings. He was honored as the minor league baseball executive of the year through all 120 minor league teams. He's, I think, close to celebrating 30 years of minor league baseball. And every internship class that we bring in, his message to them is be memorable. You're either be at the top because you're the best, or be at the bottom because you made a lot of mistakes, but don't be in the middle where you're not going to be remembered because you were timid and didn't want to try things or step out of your comfort zone. We always laugh when he brings that up, but it's very true.
Marcel, what's your question?
What is one lesson that you guys have learned while working in your field that has helped you guys grow?
I'm sorry, did you say that again?
So what's one lesson that you've learned that's helped you guys grow?
I know for me, you may not get along with everyone, but if you have your mission in mind, whatever you're looking to accomplish, and you can work to be collaborative with people that you disagree with, you're going to get to the end goal a heck of a lot quicker. And I've learned that through various iterations of working with people who were in leadership positions above me or who were in different departments. But if you learn how to communicate and you learn how to understand that you don't know what their perspective is or what they have going on, and you may not love the way they're approaching something, but instead of trying to butt heads, if you can work together, you're both going to get to the end goal that you want. And that's something I think about a lot because I wish I knew that sooner.
I think for me, it's just being able to take constructive criticism. You know, we talk about this with our AEs now is what you do with that constructive criticism and what you do after. So I think for me, I've been able to learn with that over the years. And I do believe it's also been able to help me get to where I am today. So as long as you're open-minded about constructive criticism and what you do with that information, you guys, it will be fine.
I think for me, it's being able to bounce. Like I think it's just being able to bounce where, like you could be that dependable person. Like obviously getting all of your stuff taken care of and putting your team and your department in a good spot, but also being able to be there where like you've kind of built that reputation where if there's something where you know maybe they need help moving promotion items or somebody needs help wiping down seats or somebody needs help. Hey, there's a spill. Can you stand over this spot of popcorn or ketchup that's on the compost while we radio somebody? Yeah, that's fine. Just being able to do that where, yes, you can make sure, you know, your bases are all covered, but also kind of being like that first person that's there in the event where another department needs help or they need something to get done. And you're like, oh, I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty. I can do this or knock this out. Is something I think that's helped a long way with personally, but then also organization wise, because you build that rapport with every other department. So they know, hey, they're just not here to sell tickets. They're here to help us, you know, get there overall.
Fantastic. Now it's Dragon's turn. Dragon?
So you guys are in a unique position because of your affiliation with the Padres. How much would you say you guys focus on being a feeder system, and how much would you focus on establishing your own identity in the community?
I would say for us, on the business side, 99%, if not more, of our job is focused on establishing our brand and our experience for our fans and our community. Minor league baseball is so closely tied to Major League Baseball that, you know, our general manager, Brad, he really doesn't have any involvement in what players we have or things like that. That's all it brought to us from the Padres, which is very different than the soccer side. The Locomotive, we are an independent USL franchise, so we find players, we sign players, we transfer players. The product on the field is solely tied to the work that's happening in El Paso in this building. So that's very unique. So our role, our charge is very much about the experience, our fans, being a top business organization. And then that's why we focus so much on the experience and not really presenting what happens on the field as much of a selling point. Now, we absolutely take advantage of it. Last year, we had Fernando Tatis Jr., which, if you're a baseball fan, he's one of the biggest names in the game. We had him for an entire homestand. So you can bet that we took advantage of that. So we almost find opportunities where it's the other way, when we have players coming to us that we can capitalize on. And then we let the baseball operations team, which is really the Padres, focus on player development and things like that. I don't know if I misspoke.
No, and I think it's funny because we're wearing our obviously brown and yellow polos today. So like we do a little bit of coordination, or not coordination, but stuff with Padres stuff. Like today we're wearing brown polos with a yellow EP. So it's like we try to do a little bit of it, but like Nick said, mainly most of it's about, Chihuahuas and then, being here within the community, so.
And our message from, again, speaking for Brad Taylor, our general manager, his message to everyone that works in our front office is that we have to believe in our brand, so the Chihuahuas brand, urgently, passionately, and excessively every day. That's what our focus is.
Brady, what's your question?
El Paso is very close to Mexico, so how do you manage marketing to different cultures and languages?
Our community is like 90% plus Hispanic. So it's a part of everything we do. We don't really even think in the context of like different marketing strategies. This is just our community, right? So it's, even down to there's an initiative in minor league baseball called Copa de la Diversión. And from day one, we were just sort of like, I don't know that we're changing anything on these nights that are Copa nights for us. So yeah, it's just a part of it's just who we are, really.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And yeah.
Okay, Saeed, she's from India. She's wondering why you don't start a cricket team. Saeed, what's your question?
I just wanted to ask if there were any major failures or setbacks that helped you get better in your job in the long run.
I'm sorry, it was a little low.
What major setbacks or failures helped you get better in the long run?
Where to start on my list? Yeah, go for it if you got one.
I think on mine, and I think it was one of those things I just found out very great coming into this. I think the biggest thing is just like customer service. Thankfully, like I said, I've been here since year one, so we've had some staff that have came in and some members that have moved on, everything for other opportunities. When that happens, sometimes you do inherit some of those accounts. So just not being able to know, have that relationship right away with them. There was a big account that I had where something came up. They weren't very happy with on my end. There's a little bit of a mix up on some miscommunication. And then being able to, take that one on the chin and admit, that I had some errors on that end. And there's really been a big thing where that turned around. And I think that account, that business, for example, is one of like my biggest cheerleaders now. I'll see them at the game. They'll text me about when they're going golfing, things like that. So just being able to learn from that one small mistake was a little bit of a miscommunication to now where, they've been with us now for all 10 years. I think they're with us through another 4 years on their contract. Just being able to learn from that, continue to build that rapport, and maintain that relationship, I think is the big thing that happened for me.
I got
Go ahead.
So I don't know that I would classify this as a setback, but it was a very unique challenge, was a global pandemic in 2020. I believe are pretty unique, that our ownership group, our senior staff leadership made the decision early on, and not a single person on our full-time staff was laid off or furloughed throughout the entire pandemic. We worked, what was it, 12 months from home? And we had a canceled season in 2020. There was no baseball in 2020. And that all started in March. We were pretty much done selling things like season tickets at that point. And early on, our organization made the decision that we were taking a long-term strategy. What does that mean? That meant for us that even though everything was so uncertain and we didn't know what tomorrow was going to look like, let alone the next year, our direction was be open and honest and focus on relationships with your clients. Focus on relationships with our fans in our community. If that meant that a business called and said, hey, the season's canceled, I need my $5,000 back to be able to pay my employees for the next month, no questions asked on our end. When people said, what's happening next? We were told, tell them we don't know, but that we'll always be here to answer questions. And that sort of interaction with our fan base really benefited us positively, in the sense that I know Primo would tell me how clients he used to talk to for 5 minutes during the pandemic, they would want to talk to him for 30 minutes because there's just somebody to talk to, a relationship to have. And coming out of it, I think we retained something like 98% of our season members from the canceled season of the 2021, which was really unheard of for us. And that's because we focus so much on the relationship. So having this long-term approach, this customer first approach, we always had it, but this really gave us a chance to live it on the forefront for the community to see. And I think that has carried over now 4 years later to the success that we're having organizationally.
Yeah, that's actually a good one, especially for groups, now that I think about it. Obviously, when we kicked back up into season after COVID, I would say, we had to come up with different strategies and ways to get people to come out in groups, essentially. And obviously, we had the certain guidelines in play, no more than X people. So we had to get creative on how to do things. I wouldn't say it was a setback. I would say it was more of a challenge and a curveball for us. So I would say, yeah, that was, I think, the biggest struggle was our year after COVID, was how to get groups to come back out and feel comfortable again. So, and again, like Nick said, we built our, base since after COVID, and, we're selling over $2 million in groups, so.
And last year, Brittany and her group sales team, generated our club record in 10 years for group sales. And they're going to pass it this year in year 11. And I think that is obviously a testament to the work they do now, but it's because of the credibility I think we earned through that scenario.
So next we go to Toko, who's from Japan, an actual baseball hotbed. Sugihara O is one of my favorites. Toko, what do we got for you?
What are the worst struggling in your job so far, and how did you solve it?
So what were some of the personal struggles that you might have had, and how did you solve it to make yourself better at your job? Ooh, a little deep.
We're real deep. I think for me, I don't think being a team player has ever been an issue growing up, obviously being in sports, being a team player in that sense. I think for me, it was just how to manage people, for the first time, and how to overcome different situations that came up with, whether it was an account executive dealing with a client or dealing with an account executive personally. So I think for me, that was something as a learning experience that I have gone through, is how to handle those different challenges with your coworkers. And I think too, separating, we're all friends, but separating the friends from coworkers when we're in work. So I think that's been the biggest thing for me.
Honestly, Brittany took mine. I think that was the same thing I was gonna pretty much say, because she hit it right on the head for me too. Like, never been an issue being a team player, but as you start to get, like, one is we get older. Like, I mean, me and Nick started, I was 23, and now I'm 32. No, 33. Don't even age me. Now I'm 33. But being as a team, like, as you older, like Nick mentioned, a lot of the team that we get it are guys that are right out of college or girls that are out of college and being able to be there for them and, handle, knowing that, how to learn how, everybody operates and how they receive things and what might be the best way to talk to them and communicate with them. Because knowing not everybody's the same, being able to do that and kind of still learn on that, what works, what doesn't work, what's the best way to handle things, and be able to, provide that for our team, work with them, is definitely something that I've learned along the way and I'm still learning at this point. So.
And that's I think a perfect segue into mine. One of my favorite quotes right now that I heard not that long ago is, and I've used it with Brittany in conversations with some of our team members, unspoken expectations are premeditated resentments. And I had to learn, I was fortunate enough to get into a leadership position at 24 years old. I had no idea what I was doing. And I just trusted my gut, but I didn't know at that time that people didn't know what I was thinking. I didn't know what other people were thinking. And if we may have had the same end goal, but our paths to get there could be so different that if we didn't communicate about them, or I didn't understand how people were feeling or their stress levels, because we weren't open about those things, that we were never going to get to the cultural point that we wanted to and where we are today. So, and I think these guys would attest that that's been one of the things that I've really tried hard to focus on over my time in this role is communicating with people, making sure that they know where they stand with me and I know where I stand with them, and that our expectations for their careers or projects they're working on, that we're on the same page with those. And when we've gotten to that level of synergy and support and communication, we've just sort of taken the top off of what we can accomplish together as a team. So communicating, even when it's really tough conversations, is really important for everyone's well-being, for everyone's mental health, and for everyone's professional growth. And that's something that I really value with where we are today.
So next we go to Nicholas, who's from Ireland, a visiting student who does not understand why you keep calling football soccer. What do you say?
What has been the biggest learning curve in your personal careers thus far?
What's the biggest learning curve in your personal careers thus far?
I would say just being open to any challenges, especially as I'm in this position now, is, being able to learn strategies. And I tell Nick all the time is being more involved in numbers and stuff like that. So a lot of those things I'm still learning, and still working on. But yeah, I think those types of things, taking out the sales aspect, yes, we're good at that. It's kind of the other side of it. What does that look like? How do we get to the numbers, the strategies and stuff like that? So.
Yeah, very, very similar to what Brittany said. I think that's a big thing. I'll use an example where it's we have update meetings, and when I first started going into them, there'd be a point where sometimes I would just read the numbers and being able to, work with Dick and see things where he's we need to elaborate that, like how Brittany said, being able to, okay, we're 50% right now, but we're looking at projected to be maybe at 7% by this time next week. What are the steps we're taking? What are the, strategies we're using to be able to get there, and being able to, share that with you or with the team that we're meeting with at that time, and, get the input and everybody's input from the team that we're working with and where they're at and how they're getting there, and use that. So, I just got that to basically Brittany mentioned.
I think for me, it was, and we talk about this a lot internally, and I think Brittany and Primo are both awesome examples of this. Try, if you can, to change your thinking from the positive being stepping out of your comfort zone, and make the positive in your mind be expanding your comfort zone. And for me, what would happen early on in my career and all through my life, I hated public speaking. And I thought I was getting better at it because once every 6 months, I'd be like, all right, I'm going to step out of my comfort zone and go give a presentation or a speech or do something. Well, I would check the box that I did it that one time, and then I just revert back to the way that I was beforehand. And the next 6 month time would come, and internally, I was in the same spot. I felt really nervous. I didn't think I was going to be good at it. And I just was dreading doing it. So I was like, I'm just going to put myself in that position as many times as I can, as frequently as I can, as consistently as I could. So that's what expanding your comfort zone is. And for me, that's opened up a lot of opportunities. And because I think we perpetuate that with our team, it goes back to being okay with failing at things. Everyone's able to sort of figure out what they want in their career, or figure out the projects that they're passionate about, because they're okay expanding their comfort zone and saying, I may have to do this 5 times to get it right, but I'm gonna do it so that by the 5th time, I'm really comfortable with what I'm putting out there.
Reed, what's your question?
What kind of trait do you look for in a person when you're looking for new hires?
I would say for me, just, we're receptive to, if you've never been in sales or if you're green, I think as long as you're coachable and wanna learn, I think that's the biggest thing for me. Because if you come in like know-it-all, or if you think this is not, it's not gonna get you anywhere. So if you have to come in and be coachable, especially if you've never sold before, even if you have been in sales before, we may do things differently in your, prior job. So I think that for me, that's what I look for. And then, as long as you can, if you fit in culturally, culture is a big thing and we talk about it a lot, but it's a huge part of our organization. And we want to make sure that you're the right fit, not only for yourself, but for the organization as well.
Yeah, I wish I was before Brittany, but yeah, Brittany hit it on the head with the culture thing. I think the culture thing is the biggest thing that stands out to me. We've done a really good job of building to where we're at now with what we have and what we're continuing to grow. And I think just being a team player, like we talked about, being able to not be afraid to step up, or if they ask for a volunteer, not being afraid to, raise your hand and do it. Just because, yes, we all are on a separate, we're all in the same department, but like Nick mentioned, we work very closely with our marketing, with our core partnership team, with our food and beverage, with everybody, our special events team. We announced boxing that we're having the other day, and been working on, some things for that as well. So just being able to, not be afraid to step up, like Nick mentioned, expanding your comfort zone and being able to, help others out when it's needed, I think is a big thing. It goes a long way.
I think it's 3 things that sort of encapsulate culture for me. You have to work hard, you have to support your teammates, and you have to do the right thing when no one's watching. If you can do those things every day, you're gonna fit in with our team. That's what we look for. We don't care what your degree is in, we don't care where you may have started your career. We love when we have people that have different backgrounds, right? All 3 of us are up here saying we've only worked in minor league sports. If we have 15 of us on our sales team, we'd be missing a lot of opportunity. We want people with other backgrounds. We have someone with a criminal justice degree on our sales staff. She's one of our top group sellers. But ultimately, if you can do those 3 things, you're gonna fit our culture, and that's what we look for.
Ethan, what's your question?
How do you guys gather feedback from customers, and how is it used to improve ticket sales?
So how do you get feedback from customers, and how do you use that to improve ticket sales?
So there's a variety of ways that we do it. I think we've done surveys, we've done focus groups right in this room actually over the past few years. But I think a lot of the best feedback we get is from the personal relationships that these guys and their sales teams build. People know they can be honest with us, and we've had a lot of conversations internally of like, we don't want to guess about what our community wants. Let's get that information and then build products that fit that. So about 4 years ago, we transitioned from season tickets to season seat memberships, and it was based on a lot of feedback that we got of people didn't want to just interact with us and our brand from March, or at that time, April to August, right? They wanted year-round opportunities, or on the group side, things like understanding that certain products, the way we initially set them up, didn't work for people. And we would introduce products like vouchers instead of every group, every time having to pick one game that they think there are 300 people want to come to. So using feedback to determine what's next for your organization has been huge for us, where we don't want to be the people that think we have all the answers. We don't want to be the people that can't accept it when a client tells us we're not interested in this because it doesn't meet X, Y, and Z need that I have. You can bet if someone tells us that the next year or the next month, we're going to have a product that does fit those needs. So feedback is monumentally important to us.
Yeah, and I would say on the group side of how we get that, instant feedback is on game days. We're visiting our group leaders every game, making sure everything's okay, asking about, what you just said, feedback. And even after the event's over, we do follow-up calls to our group leaders, making sure of anything that have came up that we may have missed or something that had happened after the fact. So, yeah, like Nick said, to kind of piggyback off that, some instant feedback, that's kind of how groups works on that aspect.
Well, great, Nick, let's nerd out for a minute. CRM, we talked about this a little bit via email. How do you view a lot of the customer relation management stuff, and does it actually tell us who our customer is, or does it sometimes need a little massaging?
I think it always needs a little massaging, and I think I mentioned in our email conversation that we take, at this point, a little bit of a non-traditional approach to CRM, because for us, it's about what is a CRM supposed to accomplish? And then for us, we didn't feel like a lot of the tools out there naturally fit what we wanted. So we use a platform called SalesLoft, which is not, they don't consider themselves a CRM. I think it works really well as a CRM tool, because for us, our CRM is meant to make sure that we understand where our interactions are with our clients, that we're learning about our clients and prospects, and then taking that information and using it to our advantage on a one-off or large-scale mass marketing message. So in and of itself, it probably doesn't always accomplish that, but we have integrations with other platforms that help us, like Stellar Algo, if you're familiar with that platform, where we can dump in data from every software that we use organizationally, and sort of give us some hints and clues at what could be right for us in terms of who our customers are. But at the end of the day, everyone in El Paso is a prospective customer for us. So because we have that approach and we're not looking for people that fit into these boxes or companies that fit into these boxes, we're needs-based, meaning we'll go out and we'll talk to people and we'll learn their needs and we'll find something that works for them, or we'll tell them something right now doesn't work for them. Because we do that, we can kind of fit any software into our CRM needs, as opposed to a software that's designed to be a CRM. We did use one of those in the past and it was fine, it was good, but there were things that was missing too. So I don't think there's ever a perfect scenario, and you really have to organizationally know what your needs are to find the products and the software mix that works for you. I think you guys, yeah.
No, I think the best thing about our CRM, it's like a one-stop shop. You can text on it, you can leave notes on it, you can, do what we call cadences, kind of do the selling for you. Like Nick said, the outreach marketing, mass marketing. So like those different things that, like Nick said, it's a one-stop shop for all those different things. I like it because, we're now in a world where people text a lot. So, we're texting all the time with clients and it's not always a phone call. I think people have kind of skewed away from that a little bit. So we have texting as that capability. And then while also being able to, if someone calls that texting number, it's still also connected to our office phone. So even if we were to work from home, we could still make phone calls and text messages, and everything syncs with our email. So everything's kind of right there, and we can see paper trail, text message trail, all of that with it. So
I'll say too, like one of the things that we felt no CRM out there was doing at a level that we felt was important to us was a pipeline, so sales funnel management. So we just kind of built our own in Excel. We're fortunate that I'm pretty good at Excel to automate things. And, it's the first year actually that we're using this sort of one we created ourselves that works hand in hand with our CRM. But, I don't know if you guys have enjoyed using it, but because we built it ourselves, it fits exactly what we're looking for. So that was an important step for us this year.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate all of your comments. I love the fact that I got to speak to three people, because it's like you guys deal with different stuff and you all have to work together. We preach teamwork here. So thank you very much, Brittany, Nick, and Primo. Thank you very much for your time.
you're very welcome.
Thank you all. Thanks for the great questions.